The evacuation sirens screamed through the burning air as Lyra clutched her daughter closer to her chest. The spaceport had become a war zone. Alien patrols roamed the streets, their armor gleaming under the blood-red sun, sweeping up survivors, separating the useful from the burdens. Lyra already knew where she fell. Burden. Her people, the Velani, once proud traders among the stars, had fallen to ruin after the Zarn dominion swept through their territories. Now, only the young, the strong, and the highly skilled were taken as slaves or indentured workers. The rest were left to rot on the streets of conquered worlds. She pulled her daughter, Amira, tighter against her side and darted into the ruins of a shattered building. Her heart hammered in her chest as boots pounded the debris nearby. Amira whimpered softly. "Sure, my star," Lyra whispered, brushing the child's silver hair back from her forehead. "We'll find a way out." But even as she said it, Lyra knew she was lying. No ships would carry a single mother with no valuable skills, no weapons training, no political ties. She was just another refugee among millions. And Amira, small, sickly from birth, would be deemed even less valuable. The heavy footfalls faded. Lyra exhaled slowly, trembling, when a crackle sounded overhead. "All non-essential Velani are ordered to surrender. Medical treatment will be denied to resistors. You have been warned." The message repeated, monotonous and cold. Lyra stared upward at the darkening sky. Hope, once a fierce fire inside her, flickered weakly. She had to keep moving. Had to find food, shelter, maybe even. A muffled explosion shook the ground, and she nearly lost her footing. Amira cried out in fear. "Easy, my love. I'm here." Lyra bent down, scooping her daughter into her arms. She was light, too light. The child needed care. Medical attention. Proper meal. Things Lyra couldn't provide. She ducked into another alley, scanning for any hint of safety, when a sharp voice called out, "Hey! Over here!" Lyra froze. A figure in unfamiliar gear, a rough, practical uniform with a Red Cross patch on the arm, waved her toward a half-collapsed shelter. It wasn't Velani. It wasn't Zarn. It was human. Her pulse jumped. Humans were rare this deep into Zarn territory, and they'd gained a reputation as both stubborn fighters and unpredictable saviors. She hesitated for only a moment before her instincts took over. Hope was a fragile thing, but it refused to die completely. She ran toward him. The man ushered her inside, bolting a makeshift door behind them. The interior smelled faintly of antiseptic. Supplies were scattered across a battered table. Another cot lay against the wall, piled with blankets. "You're Velani?" he asked, voice low and steady. Lyra nodded mutely, cradling Amira. He took a knee, meeting Amira's wide, frightened eyes with surprising gentleness. "Name's Mason. Field medic with the Earth Coalition. You're safe here. At least for a while." Lyra's voice cracked. "She's sick. Please. Can you help her?" Mason offered a small, reassuring smile. "I'll do everything I can." For the first time in weeks, Lyra slept without fear. Amira lay curled on the cot, and four gently taped to her small arm, her breathing deep and even. Mason had worked for hours, patching wounds Lyra hadn't even realized were serious, administering fluids, monitoring her vitals. Lyra watched him now from across the room. His brown hair was disheveled, his uniform stained with dirt and old blood, but his movements were precise, careful, kind. "Why are you here?" she finally asked. Mason leaned back in his chair with a tired grunt. "Part of a coalition rescue unit. We got stranded when the Zarn cracked the planetary defenses faster than we expected." He rubbed his face. Lost most of my squad. Been helping who I can, moving between sectors. Lyra absorbed this silently. Most humans, they don't care about us. Mason shrugged. Most humans haven't seen the worst of what the Zarn do. I have. His gaze turned distant for a moment, then focused on her again. You and your daughter deserve a chance. Same as anyone. A lump rose in Lyra's throat. She looked down at Amira, at the fragile rise and fall of her chest, and whispered, "Thank you." Mason only nodded. Days bled into each other. Lyra stayed hidden in the medic shelter while Mason ventured out for supplies. The planet's situation worsened by the hour. Fewer patrols meant more lawlessness. Entire sectors fell into chaos. Through it all, Mason remained. He taught Lyra basic first aid. How to stitch a wound. How to create rudimentary medicine from scavenged plants. He laughed when Amira, feeling stronger, declared him an official life giver. A Vellani term of highest honor. It was the first time Lyra had seen Mason truly smile. And somewhere in the slow rebuilding of their tiny world, something unspoken grew between Lyra and the human medic. Not romance, not yet, but trust, understanding. A fragile bridge over churning waters. One night, as a crimson storm howled outside, Lyra sat with Mason beside the cot where Amira slept. "You're planning something," she said quietly. Mason sighed. "Evacuation ship. Underground movement. There's a rendezvous point about 50 clicks west." He met her gaze. "I'm taking you and Amira with me." Lyra's heart surged, and sank all at once. You don't have to. We're only a burden." He leaned closer, his voice fierce. "You're not a burden. You're survivors. Fighters. People worth saving." She searched his face, saw the conviction there, and felt something inside her fracture and heal all at once. "I can't promise it'll be easy," Mason continued. "The trip will be brutal. Patrols, raiders, wildlife. And once we're on that ship, it'll be even harder. Refugee camps, long journeys, uncertainty." Lyra swallowed past the lump in her throat. "As long as Amira is safe, I'll endure anything." Mason smiled softly. "Then we do this together." The journey began under a slivered moon. Mason led the way, a battered map in hand. Lyra carried Amira piggyback style when the girl tired, refusing to slow the pace. For hours they moved through crumbled cities, overgrown fields, broken highways reclaimed by nature. Twice they evaded Zarn patrols. Once they fought off scavengers, desperate, hollow-eyed people who cared little for who they harmed. Mason fought fiercely, shielding Lyra and Amira behind him, even taking a shallow knife wound to the arm. Lyra tore strips from her own tunic to bind it. "You're reckless," she scolded as she worked. He grinned despite the pain. "Only for a good cause." The road broke them down, mile after brutal mile, but Lyra saw something miraculous. Amira grew stronger. Her cheeks filled with color. Her laugh returned, light and sweet against the ruin around them. Hope wasn't just alive, it was blooming. They reached the rendezvous on the 5th night. The battered ship, a rusted freighter retrofitted for refugee extraction, loomed behind the ruins of an old starport. Armed guards, human and alien alike, patrolled the perimeter, wary but welcoming. Mason handed over their IDs, falsified papers he'd risked everything to forge. Lyra clutched Amira close as they boarded, heart hammering in disbelief. They were getting out. As they found seats among hundreds of other refugees, Lyra turned to Mason, tears brimming in her eyes. "I don't know how to repay you," she whispered. "You already have," he said simply, ruffling Amira's hair.